Texas, our Texas, a magical place, a place of land and legend, a place like no other. People come here to touch it, to feel the passion, to soak it in and be a part of it. Texas, our Texas.
Let's ride. Yeah! Well, howdy neighbors. I'm your Texas Agriculture Commissioner, Sid Miller, and welcome to Texas, our Texas. You know, one of the biggest crops grown in Texas is mushrooms. Some people love them, some people hate them. Some folks can't get past the fact that they're actually a fungus. But one urban mushroom farmer takes the name of the species to heart. There's hundreds of Texas farms with sprawling acreage and crops reaching out to the sun. A lot of farms look just like this, but sometimes in the heart of a city, a farm can look like this. This is Jordan Gent's farm. It's tucked away in a quiet urban strip center. There's no acres of soil, just shelves rich with spores and fungus. Life that thrives in subdued, colored light and cool humidity. This is Texas Fungus, a mushroom farm Jordan began in his garage.
Pretty soon I was growing 30, 40 pounds out of my garage. And I used to cook for a living. So I just asked a few of my chef buddies, like, hey, if I could produce this, would you buy it? And they were like, absolutely, you know? And so soon the word got out, and before you know it, you're signing a lease to a warehouse and just building it out as there, trial and error.
And that build out made room for dozens of varieties of fungus or, mushrooms.
So these right here are chestnuts. And in this room, we grow 3 species. So we've got chestnuts, lion's mane, and coral tooth. And then these are little baby coral tooths coming up. These were inoculated on, it's like August 27th. So we're at September 17th. It's pretty quick. And then we got some more full-grown ones. These are going to get picked in the morning, and then they're getting sent directly out. And these are just, you can see how big they get. Just absolutely huge.
Jordan's mushrooms are a hit with some of the most exclusive restaurants around, even if the name causes some squirms and giggles.
There's been a few restaurants that don't want to list like fungus on the menu because, we kind of sell to the creme de la creme. And, but yeah, a lot of people laugh at it when they read it, or like if I'm wearing my Texas Fungus shirt or Texas Fungus hoodie in the store, and people will look at it and go, Texas Fungus, and then they just laugh,
Jordan is a do-it-yourself kind of guy, and there's more science going on here than in a medical laboratory. Mycelium, substrates, inoculation. It sounds and looks pretty complicated, and Jordan learned how to do it all watching videos online.
No, I just, I've read a few books, but mostly just YouTube, trial and error, because it's a lot different growing in, say, New York or in the Pacific Northwest than it is growing in Texas. So you figure out what works for you.
At Texas Fungus, each mushroom is a product of resilience, regeneration, and the beauty of unseen networks that bind all living things together.
Fungi is its own kingdom, right? So as of right now, 90% of plant life actually relies on fungi in order for them to survive. Yeah, little known fact. There's about 100,000 species of mold, bacteria, mushrooms that we know of. About 14,000 species of mushrooms that have been identified. And there's a lot of research coming out, a lot of studies that just further prove that mushrooms are great for you. We should all be eating them.
And like many of our first-time farmers, Jordan has taken advantage of the Texas Department of Agriculture's GO TEXAN program.
I always wanted to be a GO TEXAN. I always thought, I was like, man, whenever I get big enough, I'm gonna get that GO TEXAN logo on my box. And you know, when we did, it was super cool because it's a part of a community, but it's also a place to belong, so that consumers know that you're supporting Texans who actually either grew the product or produced the product, right? And it helps really boost the local and state economy.
Jordan Gent, the urban farmer, has proven that farming need not sprawl to be effective, that a garage could become a grove and wooden shelves can lead to a healthy crop. Now his company, Texas Fungus, stands as proof that even in the heart of the city, life can bloom in unexpected farms.
We don't have dirt and a ton of sunlight and a dog running around or anything, but yeah, I mean, spend a day or two here, you'll realize it's certainly farm work. I'm Jordan Gent, and I'm GO TEXAN proud.
Now coming up, we'll answer some of your questions about the Texas Department of Agriculture. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Well, howdy neighbors. Hey, some of our viewers have sent in some questions. I'm going to do my best to answer them. Corey, what do you got?
A viewer in Midland asks, I keep hearing about a serious water crisis in Texas, especially in the Valley region. What is going on and how is TDA responding to this situation?
Well, we actually have a water shortage just about everywhere in the state. We're out of water. Down in the valley, that depend on the Rio Grande, we've got water grants going out down there. We've got a new process to find some deep earth water. We're working with the USDA. We've got many irons in the fire to solve this problem, and we're going to solve it.
A viewer in Humble asks, severe weather and droughts are common in our state. What is TDA doing to help farmers like me prepare and respond to the worst case scenarios?
I'll tell you what, weather is hard to deal with, but we respond in many ways. One is with our agri-stress helpline. It's a mental health suicide hotline where we can help farmers get the resources they need, send them to USDA, TDA, SBA, and we also have our STAR program, which is the State of Texas Agriculture Relief. We raise money. Farmers that are down and out, we partner with them one for one, help them get back on their feet. We'll replace barbed wire and T-posts or barns, whatever government doesn't pay for, or insurance, we're there to back them up. We're going to make sure that they're successful.
A viewer from Frisco asks, I used to see your name and sticker at the pump, but I don't anymore. Where did it go?
Well, I did a really good job protecting those pumps, but I did a little too good a job. And the industry didn't like me cracking down on credit card skimmers and people that were putting regular fuel in premium tanks. So they hired some high-power lobbyists and got it transferred to another agency. So now that's overseen by the agency that oversees massage parlors.
A viewer in Corpus Christi asks, how big a concern is the New World screwworm?
Screwworms could be very devastating. About $20 billion to our livestock. All livestock is about $30 billion, but just $20 billion to the cattle industry. So we're taking that very seriously. We've got some control methods we're putting out. Hopefully by the time this airs, we'll have that sucker under control.
A viewer in Green asks, is agriculture or oil the biggest contributor to our state's GDP?
Well, when oil's $30 a barrel, it's ag. When it goes up to 70, it's oil. So we swap back and forth, but the ideal is both of us to be prosperous at the same time. We actually work hand in hand with each other. We fight the same enemies, the same battles, and rejoice in the same successes. Well, folks, that's it for today. That's all the questions we have time for, but if you have a question, email me at tdanews@texasagriculture.gov. Catch you next time. Hey folks, you know, 50 or 60 years ago, San Angelo, Texas called itself the wool capital of the world. Well, maybe not so much anymore, but there's still plenty of sheep and wool there today. We recently spent the day in San Angelo, and sheep and now goats are the name of the game there. And there's even one wool packer that's the unique supplier to the United States military. For decades, San Angelo has been the meeting place for sheep, goats, wool, mohair, and the rugged people that tend to them. Now, to understand the heart of this industry, we're going to start at the auction barn. You see, there's auction barns, there's big auction barns, and then there's producers' livestock auctions.
It was bought in 1954 by the Cargill family, and it's the largest sheep and goat auction in the United States.
Charlie Christensen runs the place. He's been there more than 40 years, and he's seen millions of head of livestock.
Normally, we'll probably average somewhere around 350,000 head a year. Used to be we sold more. It's more like 500,000 a year.
Now, owner Dr. John Cargill, well, he retired from his medical practice to be a closer part of the history found here.
I grew up around this. This is where I worked when I was a kid and teenager, and with ranching too. And it was a hard choice for me when I had to decide medicine versus livestock. And I think I made the right choice, but I've always wanted to be closer to it than I could be as a full-time surgeon. And it's been fun for me these last 4 years just to be able to spend as much time as I can and want to.
The influx of predators and income producers like oil, wind turbines, and hunting have given farmers much easier ways to make money off their land than raising livestock. But even with all these options, there's still plenty of sheep and goats to go around.
As people stopped fighting the predators, they became more prevalent, and so it's made it harder and harder to raise sheep and goats. But there's sort of a resurgence now in the sheep and goat industry.
All over town you find industry still involved in wool. There's plants that wash and ship wool, even huge warehouses filled with the stuff, and one business that holds a special place in the hearts of veterans, whether they know it or not. Anodyne Wool, that's Terry Martin's company, provides wool for every dress uniform in the United States military.
The U.S. military uniform is protected by the Berry Amendment, which basically states the whole supply chain from raw material to finished good has to be sourced and made here in the United States. And so some of the things going on that's very topical today, we've been doing, since the 40s, since World War II, It's a family business, goes back. Haynes here represents the fourth generation. And so, and that's where we are, Texas Woolbite. Most of the wool trading is done in Texas because there's not many of us left now. The one or two more other companies other than ours left to trade wool, and they happen to be all in Texas. Anodyne probably handles pretty much 50 to 60% of all the wool in the United States, and so that could be, I don't know. It's many millions of pounds, yeah.
San Angelo is more than a point on the map. It's kind of a hinge, actually, a place where the wool and goat industry swings between the past and the future. Producers' Livestock Auction is its fulcrum, and it keeps this industry alive and well.
I think it's a real important part of it. This has been a fabulous business for the family, and doesn't have the same volume that it did back in until probably the 90s. But still, it's a good business. Yeah, and it provides good employment for a lot of people too.
Texas, our Texas with Sid Miller.
So, when you think about flowers being grown from bulbs, most people think of tulips. But that's just one of dozens of types of bulbs being harvested in the wild, cultivated, and then grown in rows, just like in Holland. But this colorful operation, it's found in East Texas.
Where there are natural springs like this, and this is a gusher here in East Texas, that tells me that an old home site is probably close by.
They say beauty is fleeting, that flowers bloom for a moment, then just fade away. But one Texas man is on a mission to prove that some beauty never really dies. It's just waiting to be rediscovered. Meet Chris Weisinger, the guy they call the bulb hunter. And what Chris does is look for old home sites with traces of perennial flowers so he can harvest their history-rich bulbs.
They're all around you. They're on old home sites where the homes used to be there 50, 100 years ago, and they planted flower bulbs, and everything's gone now except lines of flower bulbs will mark those old home sites. Well, the reason I think this was an old home site was because there's a spring just over there, which we filmed. Generally, people are gonna come close to these old home sites. This would have been an old home site probably because we're in East Texas. This would have been early, mid-1800s. A lot of folks call them surprise lilies because a week ago, there was nothing here but bare dirt. Here they are, all blooming now. But most folks around here call them spider lilies. Now in the Gulf Coast region, because it's a hurricane that causes a lot of these to bloom, that soaking rain that comes in, they're gonna call these hurricane lilies. But again, most folks call these the red spider lily. It is beautiful, and they just multiply, and that's why they're here for generations.
The red spider lilies he's found here, they could reach back 150 years.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Probably closer to 100 years ago, but could have been 150. So let's just say over 100. Yeah, and now the bulb itself, it's gonna only have like a 3 to 5 year life cycle, but then it makes daughter bulbs. So yes, they are connected genetically. But, you know, the bulbs come and die. But that's their ability to sort of, you know, come and die, which makes them last longer than the 150-year-old trees.
Chris drives the countryside and searches for bulbs that he will later cultivate on his farm. But he's not limited to farmer home sites. Sometimes just the flash of color catches his eye, and yes, he just goes up and knocks on the door.
And I noticed that you had some red spider lilies blooming in your garden. You know what those are? Okay. Do you mind if we maybe took some pictures, maybe dug a few and looked around the garden, see what y'all might have?
Yeah, that's fine. They were gifted to us, the people that lived here before.
Generally, folks don't want just to have their day interrupted or talk to random people, but when you start talking about their garden, their faces light up. They love their gardens, and really, I mean, a lot of people say, hey, do you go out and like offer money for the bulbs? Sometimes somebody says, hey, can you pay me something? Sure, or if it's a big site, I will. But really what people want for payment is they want to talk to you for an hour about their garden. They want to talk to you about their parents who gardened with them here, or their grandparents, or the person who came before who loved to garden. I would take these to the farm and I'm going to put these in rows and I'm going to grow them out. And then I sell them at the Southern Bulb Company, and that's what we do it as a farm. So, and then we'll propagate these, right? Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And after a day of harvesting, these bulbs are ready for a new modern life on the farm. From old country homesteads to front porches across the state, these flowers carry with them the color and memories of times long ago.
So every time we see a flower bulb blooming in an old garden, it tells a story. Somebody lived there, somebody loved their garden, they cared about beautiful things. And so every time you plant a flower bulb, in one way you're planting a story and you're continuing our gardening history, our gardening culture along for future generations. But God gave us beauty, and it's okay to be emotional about it. You know, it's okay when you come home and you're stressed to be moved by beauty. You know, I think if we were surrounded by beautiful things, life would be more pleasant.
The final stop on the journey of Chris' bulbs is his office in Tyler, where dozens of varieties are boxed up and shipped all across the Southwest.
Varieties, probably 40 to 50 varieties. There's a flower bulb that blooms every week of the year in Texas. Unless maybe we have a blue norther that comes through, like that really freezes everything. But other than that, I can pretty much guarantee you that I could hop in my truck right now and drive any country road and I will find at least one flower bulb blooming.
And Chris is another one of our proud Department of Agriculture's GO TEXAN partners.
What I love about GO TEXAN, I love the idea that it overall promotes Texas brands. Help get more Texas products into the hands of Texans.
There it goes, all right. Victory. That is a nice, pretty bulb.
Chris Weisinger's story is about connection. These bulbs, they remind us that even when things change, there's still beauty rooted in our past. All you got to do is dig around a little bit to find it.
So you're a part of something bigger than just yourself. You know, we all change, good things happen, bad things happen. One thing that remains constant is that every season the flower bulbs bloom in their season and life continues to march on. And like, again, no matter how maybe bad the day was, the beautiful flower bulbs continue to come up. And, you know, as they say, even Solomon in all his splendor wasn't as pretty as the lilies of the field. I'm Chris Weisinger, the bulb hunter, and I'm GO TEXAN proud.
Well, folks, that's all the time we have today, but thanks for joining us. I'm your Texas Agriculture Commissioner, Sid Miller, reminding you that agriculture matters. And here's today's cowboy logic. You know, I believe that love is always the answer, but you should also own a gun just in case. Y'all have a great week. We'll see you next week.